like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for April 14th. First order of business is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Declare it now or any time during the meeting. Seeing none, we will go to the delegations. And our delegations is the Police Services Board, and I will now turn it over to the Chair of the Police Services Board, Ms. Debra Bruyere.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. I just wanted to update the board, or the Mayor and Council, with a brief review of the board's activity over the past year. We are a five-member board with Mayor Ferguson, Councillor Johnson, and Don Lessard, and myself. We're still waiting for a provincial appointee to be appointed. We haven't. And our Sue Bates, our secretary, is a great asset to the board. I appreciate her. The police service boards have gone through a number of changes in the last year. The Community Safety and Policing Act came into effect on April 1st, 2024. I would like to mention some of these changes. The OPP now have detachment boards instead of municipal or local boards. Many smaller communities didn't have boards until now. These communities are now part of the detachment board. Some detachments have more than one board, like Atikokan. Atikokan requested that we remain our own board because of the distance mainly. Fort Frances and West has 7 board members, and they represent 9 communities, Fort Frances and West. There's also a change in the composition of boards. Originally, a 5-person board included 2 councillors, 1 community appointee, and 2 provincial appointees. That has changed to 2 community appointees and only 1 provincial appointee in the 2 councillors. We have to wait so long for the provincial appointees. At least we only have to wait for 1 now, and we're still waiting. There is also a change in the composition. I just did that. Boards are required to make a name change. We're right in the middle of that right now, and we're getting some different opinion as to what it should be. Our board submitted what their request was, and it was the Rainy River District OPP Detachment Atikokan Board. We're also waiting for a new logo and their name approval. That's still up in the air. Another significant change was mandatory training. The training included roles and responsibility, police governance, conflict of interest, and code of conduct. Training will also include human rights, and our board has completed all the required training. There'll probably be more to come, but we're all up to date now. The board also passed a couple of bylaws, rules governing the proceedings of the board, a code of conduct, and the OPP, code of conduct for all OPP detachment boards. Thank you. The inspector will provide you with a report on the activities in the community. I don't know if there's any questions or not. No? Okay, good, thanks.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. In case I haven't met you all, my name is Greg Given. I'm the Inspector, Detachment Commander for the Rainy River District. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of 2024 and the calls for service that happened in Atikokan, and give you a little breakdown of what took place and what we're doing. So, and I apologize, you were supposed to have this. It didn't get sent, so you could follow along, but I'll send it after the meeting because it didn't get to you. And we'll work on that issue. So the first issue is public complaints against officers. So in the district, there was 9 complaints in total, all related to conduct, and all those complaints have been resolved. Reporting-wise, our patrols in the community have gone up about 600 hours in terms of vehicle patrol, school patrol, snowmobile patrol, all that kind of stuff. So we are out there and we are making contacts with individuals. Violent crime has seen a decrease of 3.8% in 2024 from 2023. There were 6 sexual offenses. 4 of those resulted in charges. Assaults, there was 31 assaults. 16 of those resulted in charges. Those do include domestic violence occurrences as well. And other offenses, there was 14, and those include threats, harassment, and those types of calls. So, but we've seen a decrease, so that's encouraging. Property crime, on the other hand, has seen an increase of 37.8% for 2024 compared to 2023. Break-and enters, there was 1 arson where there was insufficient evidence to proceed. Break-and enters, there was 2. 1 resulted in charges. Thefts over 5,000, there was 2 significant thefts over 5,000 related to cybercrime, where there was tens of thousands of dollars stolen. Thefts under, significant increase there, where we've seen 14 in 2024 related to cash, property. No charges were laid in any of those, and there's insufficient evidence, which means there's no suspects identified or there's no evidence at the scene. Frauds in total, there was 24 frauds, again related to cyber crimes, Facebook issues, lottery wins, crypto scams. March of this year was Fraud Prevention Month, and we were doing presentations last year as well, but we did 2 in March this year in Atikokan, where our cadets came down. We've been hearing rave reviews from them about we're targeting seniors, and really, but anyone in the community can show up and attend these meetings. They've been very well attended. Mischiefs were up significantly in town. There's 6 charges in total. 2 of those were youth, and the others had insufficient evidence to proceed. Drug crime, we had 4 occurrences involving possession, included cannabis in public, crack, and Percocets. We had 1 trafficking occurrence, where it was an operation by our street crimes unit, where 4 individuals were charged with cocaine and opioid offenses. Other occurrences, bail violations continue to be an issue. I know we've discussed at our police services board, but when you're talking to your provincial and municipal counterparts, bail violation, bail reform is a big thing. These all come with a charge to the community, so it's important that we address it. There was 46 other occurrences, and the majority of those were bail violations, up from 29 of last year, and we're seeing that as a trend throughout the district and the province. Provincial statutes were up to 25 from 19. Those include Trespass Property Act occurrences and driving offenses. There was 5 driving offenses. All those resulted in impaired driving charges. Motor vehicle collisions were down 27.6% to 21. There's only 2 that had minor injuries. There's no fatals during that time period. Criminal code, in relation to charges, there's 111 non-traffic criminal code charges. There was 8 criminal code traffic charges, so that dangerous and impaired operation. Highway Traffic Act, we've seen 55, which is down from 71 in 23. 6 liquor license, and again, this mysterious other violations was trespass to property, Canadian Shipping Act, Environmental Protection Act, and Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act charges. Clearance rates for the period are pretty good, 71.5% for violent crime. Our property crime has declined to 17.7% from 22%, and that's probably in relation to the thefts where there was insufficient evidence to proceed. Mental health occurrences. So in 2023, we've seen 143 occurrences. In 2024, there was 89. 28% of those came from 1 residence. We are engaged with our mobile crisis response team and Canadian Mental Health to find solutions and different strategies to deal with individuals suffering from mental health and addictions issues. We just think it was a couple weeks ago, received our second MCERT clinician. So she just joined our team. So we will be in Atikokan on a more regular basis as compared to before. And we're hoping to expand that program even further in 2025. Overdose occurrences, there's 3 that were non-fatal, which is down from 7 in 2022, and there was none in 2023. Referrals to victim services, we're doing okay in terms of giving support to our victims so they can break that cycle of violence or get them back on their feet again. So 155 referrals were sent out. Only 18 agreed to take those services. So we're working on that as well. And that is pretty much the report. Are there any questions from council or any areas of concern that you'd like to see addressed?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I asked this question at the board meeting, but I would like you to explain to the rest of council too. It seems like DUI offenses are up in Atikokan. Is that any truth to that?
They are up in the district. I know that for sure. In particular to Atikokan, I'm not 100%, but I know we put out some social media a couple weeks ago because we've seen a significant increase in impaired operation offenses. To date, in 2025, there's 31 within the district. 10 of those are impaired by drug. 21 are impaired by alcohol. We're aware of it. We're trying to put some plans in place in terms of additional officers, additional ride programs to try and counteract that. Some messaging going out as well, which will hopefully remind people, I shouldn't do that because it is a very serious offense. But yeah, it is a problem throughout the district.
Yes, Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. You were talking about the issues with the bail. Who provides to the municipality what it costs for all of these when it comes to, does it come to finance or?
Well, the Police Service Board has that information. It's 7.3 hours for each bail violation call that comes in. So you add that up over the year, and I can't remember the number I just told you, but if you have 50 bail violations, that number adds up real quick. So that is the cost, and unfortunately the town pays for that. So having some sort of action in regards to bail reform would hopefully reduce those calls for service coming in. I know our commissioner has been very good about violent crime offenses and bail reform related to weapons offenses and violent crime, but I think it needs to go a little bit further. It's nice to hear even some of the federal candidates in the election talking about bail reform a little bit. So hopefully something's going to happen, because this continual cycle of catch and release not really working, and unfortunately the towns and municipalities are paying the price.
Yes, Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Quick question regarding the property crimes. It seems like the rate of charges is fairly low. Is there any anticipated media blitz or anything that might be coming from the police service in order to educate residents on how they can better protect their property?
Yeah, we do have different programs within the OPP that we can utilize in terms of CamSafe, which is a program that utilizes security cameras throughout the community where they would agree to let us view that footage. We do have our CEPTED, crime prevention through environmental design, where we can have our special constables and cadets do a campaign and advertise people on how they can protect their properties a little bit more, whether it's with a hedge or some additional lighting, a fence, whatever the case is. But yes, we can definitely do something, and we will be doing something.
Okay, great, thanks.
Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I can remember the OPP once telling us that when you get a security camera, to let you guys know that you have one, so that you maybe can use it if there's something in the area. How's that coming along? Are people, when they get
That would be the CamSafe program that I mentioned.
are people coming and telling you that, so they can be on the thing that we have one?
So what would happen in say there's a break and enter or a mischief, we would do a canvass of the area regardless and knock on your door and say, hey, did you see anything between 10 and 11 last night? No, I wasn't home. Well, do you have a security camera? Yeah, I do. Oh, can we get that footage? And if you agree to it, then you give us the footage, and that might solve a crime. So there's that, and plus these different programs that we have in place. Oh, sorry, I think it has to go through him.
Thanks, Mayor Ferguson. Actually, my question would be to Mayor Ferguson and Councillor Johnson, or whoever would have to take care of it. Is it possible for us to have a report prepared showing what the expenses are adding up to for 2024 in regards to that, so that we can send it to our representative in Thunder Bay?
Is it broken down?
Well, the old reports were, as you know. The new reports, we do have a new reporting system that's come out. They don't actually have that summary of the calls for service just yet. We've just been told, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, that they are changing it. So something will be coming out, and it will be disclosable to the board, and we can work with them in terms of the allocated hours that are associated to each call and that cost.
And that's in regards to the bail issues
It would
I'm
be in
speaking
regards
of.
to every call.
Everything, okay. It'd be nice to have a financial breakdown of it so that we know what we're...
The financial breakdown is a little tricky, though, because I've been asked by other boards, we won't name names, but where they've asked for a dollar figure for the actual cost of each allocated hour, what that breaks down on a per hour basis. It's extremely challenging to get that hard number because the salaries are always up and down. There's different steps for constables as they progress through their careers. There's different salary structures for specialty units and all this other stuff. So it's hard to get a real dollar figure, but
An estimate, say, is it costing our community $20,000 for these bail concerns, kind of like that, and then we could bring those figures towards our local representative.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking more of.
We can definitely try and get something.
Thank you.
I know our Provincial Solicitor General is really looking at bail reform. The catch and release thing isn't working for anybody, and they are working towards it. There's a lot of things that go on, though, because there's people's rights that you have the right to bail and different things like that. So it's a little bit of a struggle, and you hear some of the federal politicians talk about they're going to change things and make 3 strikes and these kind of different plans, but it's not as easy to
No, I'm just looking for more like what it's
place.
costing us, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know. It's interesting. They give us a good report, and it's kind of like, not getting off the topic here, but it's kind of like going to the garage and they tell you it takes so many hours to do this. Whether it takes half of that or more than that, you pay for the garage rate, and that's kind of how they bill us when it's bail reform. Whether it's 1 hour it takes, we get charged for 7 hours. Whether it's 20 hours it takes to deal with this, we get charged for 7 hours, so.
No, I understand all that. I'm just looking more for like a kind of like an idea of what is it costing us $20,000 in regards to bail every year, and then that's what we should be addressing, is how much it's costing our community, and then how does that affect our tax base? Right?
Yep. Any more questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I was watching too and I missed it. Yes, Councillor Martin.
Was that me?
Councillor Martin.
Okay, I can't see myself for some reason on the screen here, so
Oh, you look good.
hope you can, I guess you can see me, that's good. Thanks for your presentation there, Greg. Maybe I should know this, maybe councillors know, how many hours a day are policing in Atikokan about? Like, is it 24 hours a day, or is it 24 hours a day? Like, I know at one time they were talking about shutting down at 3 in the morning, and
It is.
Yeah, it's 20 hours a day.
pardon me?
20 hours a day from 7
Okay,
a.m.
thank you.
till 3 a.m. But there's also
Okay, thank you.
there's also police available after those hours. They're just not on duty at that time, but they are, if there was a call came out, there would be police. I shouldn't be speaking for you, Greg, but.
You're speaking correctly.
Yeah, because I do see when there's an accident, or I do see charges where it is between those hours where there's no policing, but, and, the first few years, we've got, the number of calls from 3 till 7, and it was very tough to warrant having constables on duty when, the calls were very, very limited from that time.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Knowles, did you have something?
Yeah, thank you. Either you or the board or.
I'm sorry, Councillor Knowles, your audio's breaking up, so I don't know if you want to repeat your question? We don't hear you at all, sir.
We could try to read your lips. Do it again.
Okay, now you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. I took my headphones out. So my question is there anything that's giving the police any sort of.
Still struggling, Councillor.
Okay, how about now?
Now's good.
Okay, I'm not going to touch anything or do anything. Is there anything that's proven to be a challenge or is really out of the norm that you're seeing on the policing side itself that we as a community should be kind of on the lookout for?
No. Is a quick answer. That's kind of a vague question. Are you looking for anything in particular? Like,
I would say just if you're thinking of like just as you're going through the numbers and comparing them, say, to other communities in the district, or maybe recent trends over year to year in our community, if there's anything that's kind of jumping out at you that might be just something to reflect on, or something that we might want to keep an eye out because it might be trending in the wrong direction.
yeah, well, there are a few things. Like I mentioned before, the impaireds have seen a spike, so there needs to be a little bit more education. And impaireds are a tough one. Are people not getting the message? Well, obviously they're not, but I mean, our officers are doing some really good work at 3 o'clock in the morning, making these vehicle stops. So, I mean, that's a bad news, good news type thing that's showing that we're out there, we're being proactive. We are seeing escalated occurrences in relation to fraud, which we've got programs in place, and hopefully those numbers will come down as people get educated in what to look for and how not to be scammed. Bail violations, as I talked about. Domestic violence has seen a spike across the district, which it's anyone's guess as to why. I don't know. But that is concerning, and having those victims accepting victim services can hopefully break that loop. So that's something we're leaning on too in terms of pushing the victim services. We can't force them to take it, but it's definitely something that we're going to strongly encourage going forward to hopefully break that cycle of violence. Really, that's about it in terms of things that have kind of jumped out at me during this report, and into a little bit of 2025 already.
Great, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. When you're talking about domestic violence, the only reason I'm making a comment is I have a brother-in-law that does that in Thunder Bay. I thought, does the courts not able to mandate that they have to take it, or they do jail time?
Do what?
The training on to break the cycle of domestic violence.
Oh, I'm talking about victim services, not so much the accused person that goes into jail. There's obviously going to be some programming that could be available for the accused or the.
You kind of need both to work together, though, right?
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. We can't force the victims. If it's court ordered, then the accused will have to do some additional training or some rehabilitation, I guess, in terms of how to be better.
Okay. No, I just thinking maybe if you know if the person that did the altercation has to be mandated to get it, maybe then it'll help the other person to decide that maybe if they get some.
Yeah, and again, that would be up to the courts at that point, so
Okay.
it's not in our purview, and not everyone has to do that during each and every domestic
Okay.
violence occurrence. So.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Mayor Brown, holy man. Going back in time. Yeah, I was at that fraud thing at the Pioneer Center, and that young fella did a really good job. And the officer that was with them, they even stuck around after. And while the young fella was putting the stuff away, the other officer helped us put away some chairs. So that was pretty nice too. And then they stuck around and answered any kind of questions that people had. So, you know, it's they're getting out in the community. That's the main thing. That's nice to see too.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, because we've been hearing that throughout the district. They've been from the west side all the way to Atikokan giving these presentations, and that's the review we've been getting so far. So that's excellent.
Well, thank you, Greg. And I don't know if Debra wants to wrap it up, or we'll leave it there. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming, and looking forward to seeing you at the next board meeting.
And just for council, if you guys ever want to chat with us, like, we're more than happy to come anytime and have a chat regarding whatever issues. But obviously, we have the board, and the board's been real good to work with, and we look forward to continuing that.
We appreciate the good work you guys are doing. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to Committee of the Whole reports and Administration and Employee Relations Strategic Plan Update. Jason.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So an update on the strat plan. As you guys know, the last spot that we were working on was the public surveys. We did extend it for another week just to try and get as much responses as we could. I think the turnout was pretty good. I don't have specific information yet. They're still compiling everything. We did have a bunch of paper-based ones that we had to manually input, but we did get them all out to the consultants. So at our next meeting of council, which is an agenda item later on as to what date that will be, we are looking to have KPMG come and present the service delivery review report. And that will basically kind of give you the results of the survey and wrap up the service delivery portion of the project. As far as the strat plan itself, they have finished their stakeholder interviews with various different groups within the municipality. They have finished the FIR comparison with the region, and looking to present the draft strat plan next month. And I think there's one more session still with staff, but looking sometime in May to present the draft strat plan. There have been a few delays, but KPMG is still confident that they can get everything finished before the funding deadline, which is June 30th, 2025. Questions, comments?
Councillor Sean.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Jason, they're doing a review of our asset management plan as well?
I mean, not specific.
I'm just thinking about what's on the next meeting.
Yeah, not specifically. I mean, it's part of the, no. I mean, there's a service delivery review, there's an organizational review. I mean, maybe as part of the FIR, they might delve into that, but there's not, part of the project was not an in-depth evaluation of the asset management plan.
Yes, Councillor Lyons.
Thank you. Just a quick question regarding the extension and the paper copy surveys. Did we receive a significant number of paper copies? No, how many approximately?
I have a folder on my desk. I haven't counted them yet. Sorry? At least, I would say even closer to
10 to 15?
20, maybe 20. Yeah, I'll have those numbers at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I would like to thank administration for keyboarding that information in. That wasn't the plan to have paper copies. It was supposed to be done online, but it was a little onerous, time-consuming for administration, being short-handed and all. But appreciate them stepping up and doing that for us. Yes, Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. The Pioneer Center, some of the people there really appreciated those paper copies. They just don't get internet. Like, they don't understand how to get on there and do stuff. So they were appreciative of the stack that they had over there.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, we'll move on to non-union and union negotiations update.
Sure, thank you. I'll include the fire rescue volunteers contract as well, just because it is an ongoing issue or an ongoing matter as well. For the union contract, the last contract did end on December 31st, 2023. There have been some changes for the union regional reps. We did get a new representative for the area. He had a significant backlog of contracts that he had to bargain, and they did finally get to us, and we have dates set for July 8 through 10. So we'll be bringing more information to council after we meet for that amount. The non-union contract as well did end on December 31st, 2023. Historically, that group usually meets after the union contract has been settled. So we have nothing brought forward from that group as well. And fire rescue volunteers, their contract ended December 31st, 2024, so just recently. We have met with the committee at the end of February, and those talks are ongoing. Just a little more information. Hopefully we'll only have to meet one or two more times, and we'll be bringing their renewed contract to council for approval as well.
Any questions on negotiations? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to finance. Agreement with the Minister of the Solicitor General Victim Support Grant.
I'll speak to that.
Jason?
Yep, so your memo does give some background information regarding this funding. It's called Footprints Northwest. I believe the first phase, the OPP were able to directly apply for the funding and work with the local shelters to implement the program. The government has changed the process so that the funds can only be, you have to be a municipality to apply for the funds. So the OPP reached out to us and requested that we work with them and support the program so that we would fill out the application on their behalf. We were successful in that funding. And if you think of it, it's similar to the RIDE program. So the RIDE program is a funding that goes to the municipality, and then we forward those funds to the OPP for implementation. So kind of a similar process. So we'll flow the funds directly through to the police to administer the program. And it seems like a really great program that it facilitates the good work of the OPP and the local women's shelter, and we're happy to be able to assist. Questions or comments regarding that?
Thank you, Mayor Fricken. I don't know if I have to declare a conflict when we vote on this because I sit on the Shelter of Hope board.
Duly noted.
Money's
Thank you.
involved. Do I have to? I'm not really sure.
That's your call to
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Listening to, I don't know if it's Constable, Detachment Commander Greg Given said he had, they were not getting a lot of victims stepping up for this. Is there a timeline on this funding that it has to be used in a certain amount of time, or?
The specifics of the grant itself I don't have in front of me.
I want to say November off the top of my head, but
Of this year?
yeah, but I don't want to bet my
So
life.
I'm certain that they would have a plan going forward to utilize this.
Yes.
I just don't want to.
No, absolutely, yeah.
It's a good program, and I want to see us making sure that we're taking full advantage.
Yeah, no, the OPP did approach us, and we're confident in phase 2 of the program, so I believe that they are ready to go for sure. Yep.
They have a whole outline with deadlines, timelines, and everything.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brandy. Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll move to Asset Management Plan, report to council. Yes, Brandy, thank you.
Okay, so this is to get the go-ahead to do our 2025 updates, which are mainly levels of service. I don't know if you noticed, but I wrote this memo back in January because at that time I was expecting our updated asset management plan at that time, and we still don't have it. So that will be coming to council hopefully probably next month. But this is to get the ball rolling on the 25 updates.
And that has to be completed by the end of 2025?
July.
July? Okay. We gonna make that?
Yeah, they haven't, they had no reason to believe they wouldn't be able to.
Great. So that's a budget item you're looking for?
Pardon?
It's a budget item that,
Yes.
yeah.
And then when the actual updated plan comes, we have to get an approval from council to accept the asset management plan. So we're gonna have 2 this year because the last updates will come to council shortly and then again in July.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to ask a few questions about our asset management plan and kind of the current status and get a better understanding of the provincial requirements. So I just want to preface this, I'm not pointing fingers in any way, it's far from it. I just want to make sure that we're asking the right questions at the right time. So you stated that the asset management plan, the deadline, the upcoming 2025 deadline is July 1st, 2025, and the previous one would have been July 1st, 2024?
I believe so.
Okay, but should that not have come before council prior
Yes,
to?
that's what's gonna come next.
Okay, so we haven't met that deadline. So we'll have to review and accept the 2024 update in addition to the 2025 update?
There'll be 2 separate, yes.
Okay, but before the July 1st, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. So when we receive that, just one of the questions when I was looking through it as well is who's responsible for actually writing the updated AMP? Is it a consultant or town staff?
We hire consultants to.
Okay.
We do all the day-to-day administration of the asset database. And then every few years there's an update required. And then it's usually Tyler and I, because Tyler has the most assets, have to update again. So in between the time periods, he may have gotten CCTV done or some surveys done or something that we can update at that time. And then, so we do all the data and updating information, and we give it to the consultants, and the consultants are the hosts of our asset database software. So they take our information and then make it pretty in the actual document.
Okay, so have we provided them that information for 2025 already?
No, we haven't even started 2025.
Okay, but
I mean, our database is live, right? So we update that every year or every...
But the town's component of updating the database for 2025, that has been? That
won't really... we probably don't have any updates because we just did them in 24. So
okay.
The 2025 components are more level of service and that sort of thing, so it won't actually affect our database.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought up level of service because that was another question I had regarding the tie-in maybe between KPMG's work and the asset management plan's level of service. And I was just wondering too how those two are going to speak to each other, particularly when it comes to the community engagement approach for the development of the asset management plan and how that's going to be designed in order to determine level of service. Is it through the existing survey that we sent out, or is there going to be another opportunity?
Well, we haven't started the 2025 at all yet, so my initial meeting with them was to make them aware of our KPMG information to see if that would be beneficial, because I don't know exactly what they're going to be looking for.
Okay.
So there may be some ways the KPMG can help us with levels of service, but in other ways, they'll be completely, we may have a level of service that we only want one water break for 100 meters of pipe. Well, that KPMG is not going to get into anything like that. So we're hoping there's going to be some sort of efficiencies that can be in there, but we don't know yet until we start planning.
Okay, so it sounds like this is going to be a bit of a process still. Are you still confident that we'll be able to meet our legislated deadline?
Yeah, this one won't be as intensive as the prior ones. Like the last, because this is just increasing the level of service on over and above the core assets. So I don't anticipate this to be as much time at all.
Okay. And finally, I guess maybe this might be a question for CAO Young. With the level of service requirements in the asset management plan, is this going to be based on like previous knowledge of level of service, and will it require an additional update to the asset management plan once our strategic plan is updated?
Yeah, so the initial discussions with KPMG with the project did not, the asset management plan, obviously, like I said, level of service, it's not the main focus. And again, with the public surveys, and it's more of a general level of service, as Brandy stated, getting into the minutia of the asset management plan. Far too complex for this particular project. And again, depending on what they recommend, it can be a starting point for that discussion.
Okay. Maybe as we continue to have updates provided to us ongoing so that we can ensure that we meet that deadline then, if that's all right with everyone, on how the asset management plan is proceeding?
Yeah, I mean, that's brought to council, yeah.
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. For the asset management update that has to be in there by July the 1st, are we going to be getting copies of the old one and what the new one's going to be look like so that we can review it and have our questions, or is it just going to be coming to us for approval? Are we going to have a meeting where we can actually discuss it?
You can have whatever you want. So generally, I would just bring it to be approved, but if you want an in-depth review of it, so you're going to get one like next month. So if you want an in-depth review, we can get the consultants to do a presentation. But it's a
When's
live
the last time we
document,
had
so
a
we update
presentation
it
by it?
every
by
so.
them?
Pardon?
When's the last time we had a presentation by them?
Maybe 2 updates ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, I'd say 19 or 20. I think it's 20 because they came in during COVID.
So 5 years ago? Approximately?
Probably 2 updates ago would probably be, yeah.
I think it would be worthwhile, myself.
Yes, I concur with Councillor Shine that I do think it would be worthwhile, particularly going into budgetary planning, just to get a sense of what we're committing to through the asset management plan.
Anybody else?
So do you want a presentation for the one that's coming or the one in July?
What do you mean that's coming? Wouldn't that be the one for 2024, 2025? Then we'd have the new up one for 2025, or?
No, so I'm waiting on the 2024 updates right now.
Okay.
And then we'll be doing the 2025 updates so it'll be revised again for July.
Okay, I think,
It'll be update with more information.
okay, I think
I think if council is going to use this for our budget planning, then it should be of the 2024, because hopefully our budget planning is prior to July.
oh boy.
So we should look at 2024. Like you were saying, nothing's really changing. And when we do our budget, or we have money that we spend on projects, and doesn't really get swayed by the asset management plan, but if council would like to review that, we can review it when before budget talks, I think. Yes, Councillor Sean.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. But when you read the asset management plan, it talks about the reality of what each department actually needs. Like, Tyler's not gonna be able to meet all his needs that he needs by, let's say, basically the budget and the taxes we raise, because he needs a heck of a lot more money, according to the asset management plan, to run things properly. I think the way to inform the public is by presenting an up-to-date asset management plan so that they get a better understanding of why we don't raise the taxes as much as we do, but we do have to raise them. That's,
I would say that when you do an asset management plan, there's no town or city in North America that doesn't have a deficit in their asset management.
oh no, I'm not debating that. but-
So that has to be considered with what we're working on, where we're prioritizing, and where we're putting our tax base, and how we try to leverage funds from municipal, or the provincial and federal government, so. Yeah, so going around, we all understand that, and if we want to see the asset management plan before the budget talks, then we should do the 2024. If we want to wait for the 2025, hopefully the budget will be passed before that comes to council, so that'll be
Great,
council's decision.
for sure.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to revenue and expenses for the period ending March 31st. Treasurer Colson.
Okay, so here's where we're at so far, and if anybody has any questions. The one thing I did notice is some of the larger discrepancies between this year and last year is because of insurance. So our insurance this year was paid in March, whereas last year wasn't paid until April. So a lot of the building costs are significantly different because of that.
Yeah, it's just been my experience that a lot of things get paid for in the first quarter. The annual things get paid for in the first quarter, so sometimes that skews where you think your finances are, because a big portion of it gets paid, as you said, the insurance, prior to the end of Q1. Any comments, questions? There's a lot of line items on, and I know we talked about maybe trying to shrink this down so it's a little more understandable for people like me that don't know all these line items. But if anybody has a question, you'll see some bigger numbers and some smaller numbers. Anybody have any questions? Martin does. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, Councillor Martin. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Yeah, like I was going through this, and looks to me like there's 35 pages there of numbers. Would there be any way that MNP could come to Atikokan and we could do a question and answer? They could go through this, and there's a lot of stuff there that's confusing to me. Typically when we have year-end at Tramon, we go and we sit down with the accountants, and they go through the whole thing and line by line kind of thing. That I would find that helpful, but I don't know if it's realistic to do that. That's my only comment. I was looking at different things, and I'm just it's a little overwhelming. So anyway, thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
I think your comment might be a little more for the next one, the 2021 financial statements.
Yes.
And I think they are coming at a later date.
We'll get to that in the
We'll
next
get to that?
agenda item.
Okay, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Yes, I agree, Councillor. Any questions on Q1 report? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the 2021 financial statements. Brandy, and then we'll let you off the hook.
Okay, so we have the 2021. So now I wanted to get this on the agenda because I got the original drafts like 2 months ago. But what normally happens is we have the auditors come and present them when we approve them. My concern was timelines and trying to get everything moving. So my original hope was that we could get, they would be in to do 2022 right away, and we could get them to do a presentation of both 21 and 22, because really the information is outdated. I mean, it's there's more value in the prior report we reviewed than these ones, but they can't come until July. So then I asked if they could do 22 and 23 at the same time, because this is now extending the timelines I had anticipated, and they said yes, they can. It'll be a little clunkier, but we can do it. So that was going to be my question, was what do you guys want? They're really overloaded right now. We're not the only ones behind, so they're juggling, trying to get their COVID hangover people current, as well as keeping the people that are on track on their normal schedule. So that's part of the reason why they can't get here until July. They will be doing remotely, trying to do as much as they can before they even get here. So ideally, if, in a perfect world, they would have the majority of the work done before they even get here. So that's the hope. And then we'll do 22 and 23 both at the same time.
Yes, Councillor Stimpson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'm just wondering, are all the other municipalities in northwestern Ontario at the same position of doing audits as we are?
There are 2 municipalities in our area that are further behind than we are. Other than that, I don't know. I've never looked.
Just seems like we're always playing catch up, and that's not a good way to play. Anyway, thank you.
When we finish 21 and 22, then we'll just be...
21 is done. This is 21.
Yeah.
22 is 95% uploaded, so we're done on our end almost. We just have to wait on the auditors. So we're going to proceed to start uploading 23, and then when they come, they do pre-work remotely, and then when they come, do them both at the same time.
So Brandy's just, sorry, Councillor, for us to look at this, like what would be the ask of council? It's tough for me to approve this, not going through this with a little more detail. Is that going to be the ask, that we approve this? Or?
Yeah, well, these are the audited
Okay.
statements, so,
Okay. These are the audited statements?
yes, so
BDO or?
yeah, so the question is, do we want to do a presentation for each year? Do we want to combine some because it's outdated information? I guess that's...
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Stimpson that we are behind, and I don't want to delay it any longer. If it's just kind of nice when the auditor kind of is on the screen or in person and says, yeah, things are cool. It says that somewhere in here?
Yeah, and actually, we normally also get some letters and some, I guess, pamphlets, but I don't have them yet. So normally we would get them before we even present the financial statements, but I don't have them yet, so I'm assuming he'll be sending them right away. So that gives a little more information on how they audit, what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are, that sort of thing. It's basically the same thing every year.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is...
It just gives me a little...
Yeah.
Before I put my hand up, gives me a little confidence in, when the auditors are given.
Well, these are prepared by the auditors. These are the audited financial statements, so these are
Okay.
not my financial statements.
Right, Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. It's my understanding that large financial institutions or companies like MNP have a number of auditors on staff and prioritize municipality and hospital audits. Have we requested additional support from MNP to ensure that these, like our financials, that backlog gets addressed, like
Yes.
beyond who we've previously worked with out of Fort Francis?
Yeah, so they had actually at one point talked about farming us out basically to Thunder Bay or somebody else. But they didn't end up, we had a whole new crew last time, which I was kind of concerned about because our old crew knew our software, knew where everything was, like, so they just boom, 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 everything quick. And we had a whole new crew this time, so I was concerned and I thought, oh no, is this gonna take twice as long? And they were excellent, they were quick, they were, so it didn't affect anything at all.
Okay, sorry, Mayor Ferguson. It's just my understanding that the FERS that we're submitting, that's directly tied to the funding we receive from the province, correct?
Yeah, so that's been submitted. That doesn't need approval by council or anything, so I've already submitted that.
Okay, have we already submitted the unaudited FERS for 2022 and 23 as well?
Not yet, no.
Okay, but we can do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to submit those, then should there be any sort of adjustments necessary coming out of the audits, technically we'd still remain in compliance?
I don't know the answer to that. We've never done them without having the audit complete.
Okay.
I don't see why you couldn't, but then I don't know what you would do if there were adjustments. Because generally you have to do all your year-end work prior to doing your FIR.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the FIR manual or whatever that states that we can do the submitted the unaudited financials to the FIR, and then it's just a matter of an amendment afterwards. So maybe that would be something to look into.
Yep, that I can look into that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Brandy, when do you think we will be current?
Well, again, it depends on the timeline. So I think I'm going to book now for 2024 to be done, because I didn't expect it to take so long for them to come down. I expected that to happen right away. So I would hope within a couple months after July to have to get them down for 24, or even closer if we can, because it's taking so long now. We can finish 23 and 24. The bad year was 21. 21 was the nightmare year. So the other years now are going a lot faster, a lot quicker. So I think I want to book them now to get them in quickly after 23 is done.
Yeah, I think to that point, we were shooting to get 2 years done, 2 years backlog done in a year. Brandy is presenting to get essentially 3 years done and brought to council by the end of July, which I'm very pleased with. To be caught up by the end of the year, I mean, that's a lofty goal, and we're certainly pushing for that. But I would like to acknowledge the amount of work that staff has done to get us, trying to get us as current as quickly as possible. So I think July comes really quick, and to be able to present 21, 22, and 23 by the end of July is good news.
Yes.
Okay, so can I get direction on what we want to do about presentation?
Yes, Councillor Knowles.
I mean, I can answer questions as well, but for the actual auditors, if we want them to come down, and when and for what years?
Yeah, I would say if we're going to do that, then I'd like to see us do multiples. If we're going to be engaging the auditor and having them come down and do a presentation, whether in person or online, just because there is a lot of repeat of the same information and going through the auditor's notes and that. So just in the interest of time, and then it's fresh in everyone's mind, and we can compare the year to years since they have already passed. I think it would just be a little more efficient on everyone's time.
I agree.
Okay, we will, oh, yes, Jason.
So I guess for clarity, so on the council meeting immediately following this meeting, we do have the 2021 financial statements to be passed. So we are looking for council's approval on that. And I think just important to note to earlier comment, if the auditors had found any concerns or items that they wanted to bring forward, they most certainly would have done that before we had brought the draft financial statements to you. So there was no concerns or any specific items that they felt council should be aware of. Just an important note before we bring this forward. Thank you.
Pardon me?
Martin had his hand up.
Oh, Gordon, Councillor Martin?
No, okay, thanks, Mayor Ferguson. Yeah, if, obviously the sooner the better, we could meet with these people. And Brandy, if you need counsel, you wanna, we wanna see you get caught up, and if there's anything we can do to help you, we don't wanna keep stalling. I don't think, let's try and get the books up to date and see where we have a better snapshot of where we are financially. So I'm all for, meeting whenever it's convenient for, MNP or whatever. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, moving forward, we'll go to Public Works. O'Brien Street, Lone Pine, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'd like to start out with asking Tyler a question, please, Tyler, if I may. When does the contractor expect to come back and commence work again?
We're having those pre-construction meetings currently and discussions, but we're hoping to see him back here late next month.
Just the end of this month?
Next month.
Next month? Okay. So, regarding the O'Brien Street conditioning of the road, I want to commend Tyler for the last week and a half trying to grade that crap hole. But trying to grade frozen ground, there's just no material to work with. And there's 176 homes up in the Lone Pine area, plus 2 businesses. And I worry about the fire truck responding to a fire in that area, because as Graham knows, minutes count. The ambulance also, school buses, the handy van. And we're working on a strategic plan now. And one of the big pushes on the board was we were going to deliver services. We were going to try and deliver services better to the townspeople. Up to about a week and a half ago, the maintenance wasn't that great. Again, because of the frozen ground, he can't get enough material to work with. So my suggestion would be to hire a belly dump to spread 3 to 4 inches of A gravel in that section and work a crown into the road and let the water run off, and then keep up to your frequent grading. It's just ludicrous to me to ask 176 homeowners and the people that frequent these businesses in Lone Pine to drive over that road. It's deplorable. In one section, I know Tyler, he's peeved off, and I apologize, but the A gravel, we'll lose that. That's going to be an expense that it's gone. But I think we owe it to the citizens, instead of them wrecking their vehicles over that road. And now I see in one spot there in one of the businesses up in Lone Pine that it's down to 1 lane because of the bad water holes. And I noticed 2 days in a row now where traffic is actually stopping and letting everybody do the 1 lane thing. So I'm pressing the council to let's spray it with A gravel and have Tyler keep up with the frequent grading. I know it's an expense, but we owe it to the people. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, just a bit of perspective, I guess. Not peeved off, as you say, for sure. You know, a lot of emotion with this stretch of road. I think it's important to note when you talk about ambulances and fire trucks now all of a sudden not being able to respond quickly because of this 50-ish meter section of road that's under construction. I'll just remind you that the entire preface of the grant was under getting fire trucks and ambulances and all these emergency service up there because the entire road was in such deplorable condition, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sit here and pretend like the road was great by any stretch. I will say the last 3 Sundays I've driven it in my personal truck as well, keeping an eye on how the situation's arising. Biggest problem is, councillors, you know, we were battling the frost. We were battling the snowbanks on the side of the road. That's all gone now. As you've seen now, it's the best road that we've had in several weeks, right? Because the frost is lifting, the things have drained, there's not as much melt coming in. It's a new problem, so it needs a lot of attention from everybody, right? I understand that. The problem is essentially over now. It's going to be continually graded. The water isn't coming in to the same extent as it used to be. We can move the material more. We've thought about putting gravel down. There wasn't much point because it would be sacrificial, right? We're looking at just about 40 hours that Public Works has put into this over the last few weeks, grading and maintaining it. That doesn't even include the gravel patch. I think by and large we've come to the end of the issue per se, and regardless, the contractor's going to be here in a few weeks, so to waste a few $1,000s of A gravel just seems tough. But if that's council's direction, then that's what we'll do.
Excuse me. I live down there. I travel at least probably once a day, and you say you drive once a week down there. There's people that drive down there, as Councillor Johnson said, there's businesses down there, and to say that us Lone Piners aren't worth a few $1,000s of A gravel is kind of demeaning to the people of the town. If it was on Maple, and you could go around down Mackenzie, down Mercury, if it was on Hawthorne, you could take Willow. This is our one road that we drive down. And it is literally deplorable. And I can see today, it's not that great, and after it punches out, after this snow, it's gonna be a minefield of potholes. And your crew is doing well. I hope that we are charging back PNI. I take issue with saying it's a construction zone because I haven't seen any construction since November, 6 months ago. When you tell me they're coming next month, is that May 1st or May 31st? Because that's a big difference between being next month is 31 days. So I think the people of Lone Pine and the people of Atikokan are worth a few $1,000s of A gravel, so we can have a road where we're not having to go literally 1 kilometer an hour to dodge the potholes. And to say it's the worst is over, it's great, but it's still bad. Might not be as bad as it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I would ask administration to leave 5 minutes early for lunch, drive to DNL and back every day, because that's what the people that in Lone Pine do.
I'll just jump in on that and clarify. Yep. I guess it looks like we took a few of my comments and ran with them, certainly down a path that I wasn't going. I never said that nobody up there wasn't worth it. Obviously, we owe everybody the same level of service. Fact is, that level of service is not provided at other areas in town which are equally bad.
No, they're not as equally bad.
Okay, that's your opinion. That's fine.
Equally bad.
That's fine. And I don't drive it once a day. I said I'm making sure I'm driving it on the Sunday when it's the worst with my personal vehicle, because that's what everybody complains about. I can promise you I make many more trips up to Lone Pine than 1 per week. We keep an eye on it. Sunday should be the worst day because it should be tuned up Friday, tuned up Monday. So we check it Sunday to make sure. We keep on it every couple days. Of course it's going to get bad. It just snowed for all day. We'll go out as soon as we can. We'll grade it off, it'll be smooth, it'll be bad the next day, we'll grade it again, it'll dry out, we'll grade it, it'll be good. It's road construction. Again, if council's direction is to go and lay down all that A gravel, we will. The opposite side of that is we go and lay down all that A gravel, we pull it all off in the spring, and then we get a hard time for wasting that money. It's a lose-lose situation. So if that's what council would like, we'd be happy to do it.
Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I think one of the main things that I'm glad my name's not Matt Warren and I have a business up there. I know for a fact I quit going there when that road was like that. I already had to replace 3 springs on my truck just because of the roads in town. And I don't know how much people up there are doing to get theirs fixed from bouncing over. The roads in town were ridiculous here for a while. And that one is terrible. He must have lost some money. He had to have lost a fair amount of money from people not going up there anymore. And another thing, I know a guy who rents a house to PNI, and they called him and asked if the house would be available the 1st of June.
Yeah, well, maybe those are the guys that do.
But the thing is, you know,
do you have a question?
Could we not be working on that road now?
No.
Councillor Shine.
Might as well wait and do it in fall, I guess.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Tyler, I don't know anything about A gravel, all that kind of thing. We own our own aggregate pit, if that's what I'm calling it correctly, right?
Aggregate, yes.
Okay. So is there something else that we could do that would be, I don't know, wouldn't get washed away, that would grade better, rather than having that young gentleman that has like a half-ton load of a frozen stuff that I witnessed trying to shovel it out of the back of a half-ton? Is there something that we could put down that would maybe last longer?
I mean, yeah, we could do it with cold mix. Incredibly expensive. We could look at a temporary patch paving. You can look at recycled asphalt. The problem is it's not material that we have readily.
What do we have at our
A gravel?
I don't know what it looks like.
It's like gravel that you see on the top of the road. Like generally no rock bigger than a 7/8 screen. Lots of fines on the bottom end so that it knits up really tight. Generally, it's your road base right before you pave. That's A gravel.
Okay. But I know I'm driving 4 miles an hour down there, and I've seen a few ambulances come down there, and it's quite the challenge.
For sure.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Question for you, Tyler. Were there any provisions in the contract for the contractor themselves to maintain that area, you know, during this season between last year's actual physical construction season and this one, similar to what they do on provincial highways?
Yes, and that's why we are recovering the costs that we put into our grading.
Okay, but there wasn't...
That is the provision, is that it has to be maintained. We've taken the site that getting that contractor to put the hours into that road that we have, and I don't just mean like this contractor in particular, I mean in general, we wouldn't have got that level of service, and if we tried to get that level of service, it would have been an extreme battle versus just sending our guy out and then sending them the bill for it.
Okay, so previous to, say, a week and a half ago, were we still maintaining it to an appropriate level of service that we would have expected the contractor to do?
We were doing the best that we could with what we had, right? You're looking at, back then, yeah, it was like every day it was punching out, and we were trying to get the guys there every day. Of course, we were going through turnover as well, and we're lacking those experienced grader operators, and we're doing what we can to keep everything as good as we can right now.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Okay, I guess we can talk in circles all we want here, but I would vote that we use the town's A gravel to fix that section of road. That's my vote.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So I would like to propose either a resolution or a show of hands that we spray O'Brien with A gravel.
How are we going to spray it? How are we going to spray it?
With belly dump.
Spread it.
Spread.
Are you dead certain on a belly dump, or can I just throw 2 tandems over there and call her a day?
I was looking at Tyler tailgating it. I'm just worried about the lines, if they're high enough. It can be done.
I'm just saying,
Absolutely it can.
my tandem hauling 2 loads and my grader is gonna be much more cost beneficial and realistic than trying to get somebody with a belly dump.
Yep.
I think we let Public Works
Yeah, if the directions,
how to do the work, but if we direct him to.
if we're getting a clear direction here to A-gravel
Build
that
it
road.
up and make
That was just a suggestion on my part. There's no way I was trying to step on your toes at all.
Councillor Shine, one last time.
Yep, thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Would we be able to get the cost recuperated from the construction company for the A gravel?
Probably not, that would be a fight, I'd have to look into that.
Okay, I just wanted to check, okay.
Yes, Jason.
Can have the final comment, thank you. Notwithstanding the discussion about the specific piece of road, I think it's an opportunity to discuss the summer, the remainder of the project. We talked about businesses and homeowners. This will be a very tough section of the project. I know Main Street was inconvenient for a lot of people. I think because, as you had noted, the kind of one way in, one way out, I would encourage people, or I would ask people to have patience regarding the remainder of the project. There's going to be a lot of delays, a lot of one lane traffic. But again, I think, a short-term pain for long-term gain. We're going to have a wonderful kind of O'Brien Street, I guess, and done. And the issues that are being brought up was exactly why administration went out and got millions of dollars from the province to get this work done. And we understand that it's frustrating for people to have that inconvenience. We acknowledge that, and we'll do our best to fix that. But again, we're almost there. A little bit of patience, and we'll get this project done and get this resurfacing done. We'll be very pleased with it for years to come. Thank you.
I think people will have less of a problem if there's work being done. Then who knows when they're coming, when it's going to start. I think I will have a lot more patience when I see them repairing the road, as opposed to, here you go, this is what you get, and we'll let you know when we come back in the spring when the process out of the ground.
And that's construction in northwestern Ontario, right? That's the frustration is when do they end in the winter, trying to get as much done as possible? When do they shut it down, and when do they fire back up? Agreed.
In hindsight, it's disappointing that they tore that pavement off, but I think we, as Councillor Martin said, we beat this up. Yes, Councillor knows last word.
2 quick questions. One, what's the ballpark on the cost? Roughly. What's the rough ballpark on the cost to put gravel in?
I would be looking at a few $1,000s worth of the A gravel itself, and then we'd be looking at a couple hours of truck time, and then a few hours of grader time on top of that. So I'd say under 5,000 probably.
Okay. And second question, would this be needing to be done next winter as well, or is the project supposed to be wrapped up and completed by then?
Substantial completion date for the project is September 29th. So at that point, it should be fully paved and curbed with just basically minor landscape restoration.
Okay, so this is a one-time deal then?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councillor Stimson, quickly.
Okay, seeing we're talking about this project, are we still doing the roads from Mackenzie Avenue up to Main Street like we did Mark Street? Is that still in the plan?
We're working on a tender on that phase of the project right
And
now.
is that going to be part of Mackenzie too, and then up?
There will be part of Mackenzie getting done.
It's all got to be part of that tied-in thing, right? Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we'll go to Community Services, Amending Agreement, Community Transportation Grant. Randy.
Okay, so if you recall, we discussed this grant not long ago, and the grant was ending. So we've now been offered an extension from the province for the grant. So over the course of the project, we're eligible for $311,699.42. So this is just a transfer payment agreement that will be at the council meeting to approve the agreement.
Any questions, comments? I got a question. How did this come about, Brandy? Did we petition the province for this, or did they come forward?
So I think Tom requested an agreement, and then They reached out to us with a bunch of questions and then came back and approved it.
Okay, well, that's very good news. So, thank you for administration for getting that done, and that's a big load off the taxpayers because we want to keep that service going, and if we can get funded by the province, even better. So, great, appreciate that. Moving on to the next. Oh, yes, Councillor Martin, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Apology accepted, Mayor Ferguson. A question for Brandy. When it comes to grants like this, are some grants, do our financials have to be current for us to apply for grants? Or are they okay with our financials being like 3-4 years behind? Does that affect grant applications?
Grants don't usually ask for financials, but some will want your FIRs to be current. It depends. They're all different.
I can't speak to the
Okay.
specific funding. Sorry, Councillor Martin, just to give you an example, there's some funding that we've received. We can't speak to it because we're still waiting for the ministry to do the announcement. I can tell you that as part of the application, they did request our financial statements, and then we were able to supply additional information for the years not done yet, and they were satisfied with that, and we did receive the funding, so it did not inhibit us from receiving grant funding.
Thank you.
There was another grant as well that Tom applied for. It might have been the NOHFC one, I'm not sure, where I did financial reports and not the audited financial, but we gave them our current reports.
We'll move on to, Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I was just going to say, for the grant that I applied for something, they don't ask for necessarily audited financials. They're happy with the financial statements for the current year. So they're not asking for audited. No, through a grant that I did, just saying it's answer Gord Martin's question.
Okay, next we'll move on to Agreement Minister of Transportation dedicated gas tax funds for public transportation program.
Okay, so this is our annual provincial gas tax funding. This is for the 24-25 program year. Some of the ministries are behind, like we are. So we're eligible at $24,184. We're eligible for, so they do some sort of calculation based on how much we've spent and that sort of thing. And they stats, and I'm not really sure how it all works, but so we have a transfer payment agreement going to council for the provincial gas tax.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Brandy, where do we put this money towards?
We've been putting it into reserves with the intention of replacing the hand-to-vans when needed.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were still doing that. Thank you.
Nobody else? Little Falls Recreation Center Stairlift, report to council. Randy.
Okay, so council had requested some updated costs of the stairlift. So that is in the report, and if you have any questions.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So, doing the math roughly in my head, we've paid half the price of the original stairlift in repairs. The stairlift was $46,000.
Give or take, yes.
Sorry?
Give or take, yes, except that we did have a grant for that project, so.
Yeah, but, okay. Wow.
Yes, Councillor Stempson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I think this stairlift has become a little joke. It's down more than it's running. I really think we should be trying to recoup our losses and look around for something new. Use that use some of that money from the Muskegon line, 250,000, and put something in there so that there's a lot of people who can't get upstairs anymore. They depend on that stair lift. Last time I was there was, I don't know, maybe, when was it we were there, Jason? About 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? And it was broke down again. And I don't think I've ever gone over there and seen it operational. I really haven't. And I would go over there a few times, but, you know, I just think this stairlift has become, you know, a brunt of a lot of jokes and that we got to do something about it and get something that's more reliable, because we have to service all people in Atikokan, and that's one of our buildings. And I don't know. I'd like to make a motion right now that we buy a new one. Like, holy crap! But with that money, but can't do that. But I'll leave that as a suggestion for the Mayor Ferguson, Councillor Knowles, and Councillor Lyons, I think, on that 250,000 Muskegon money. Thank you.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So when you're talking about regular maintenance and the repairs, is that's what we've have spent already, and now we still have to get it repaired so that'll get up and running?
Yeah, so these numbers are from March of 2020, or from the full year of 2021 to March of this year. So this is over those past few years. So the regular maintenance is mainly our service contracts to get the inspections and the regular whatever maintenance they need to do. And then the repairs are actual repairs on the stair lift.
So we have spent that amount of money and it's still not working?
I don't know about
it's not working.
The status of the
It's broken.
stair lift.
Hasn't been worked for months.
Mr. Martin and I.
Oh, Councillor Martin. Councillor Martin.
I can hardly hear you there, Mayor Ferguson. Thank you. Okay, so I'll tell you what I've seen over there personally. I've watched somebody try and put a big wheelchair on that lift, and it's like trying to park a 59 Cadillac in a parallel park it in a spot for Honda Civic. So it takes a lot of finesse. I think the thing is a little bit too light duty. But in any case, talking to Dan Richards, I suggested that maybe he could set some tables up downstairs, you know, and the people in wheelchairs could at least sit downstairs and enjoy a meal there. But he was suggesting that he was having staffing issues and that wasn't really an option. The other thing that he did tell me was Otis seems to be able to fix this lifting device, and Coney Crane can't seem to fix it. I know there's a contract with Coney Crane, but I don't know what that contract reads like, but if they're not providing a level of service, I would say don't call them anymore. Just call Otis to fix that lifting device. Just don't call Coney anymore. I don't know if you have to pay him so much a month, but keep doing that, but call Otis. Those are my observations. And unless you move the restaurant downstairs like I suggested 2 years ago. Thank you.
So two comments. So an update for everyone. Yes, we do have a service agreement with Kone. I believe there's at least 7 or 8 years left on that. That is for them. Let me explain. That is for them to come and do regular maintenance. So when you think of a service contract for someone, we have service contracts with other entities. They come in, they change the filters, they grease what needs to be greased. It's not part of the service contract for them to repair things if they break. Those are costs that we have to assume above and beyond the service contract. So the service contract can stay in place. It's not worth to try and get out of it. So they come once a year and they do what they need to do. To your point, Councillor Martin, we are right now in talks with other repair companies that are familiar with this type of thing. And we are having them come in to do some work on that. So to your point, yes, we are actively, and Tyler's been charged with this task, is to get the right people in there, and we're going to get this operational. If I can take a step back in time and remind everyone that originally, for accessibility, we had purchased 2 stair walkers. We had one at the arena and we had one at the Little Falls. the most scariest thing, if you've ever seen someone walk up the stairs with this contraption, it was absolutely horrifying. We realized that, so we went out and we tried to find better options. Nobody at the time wanted to entertain the cost involved in installing an elevator at the facility. This was the next best thing. On top of that, we went out and we found government funding to pay for this piece of equipment. To go back down and say, well, we should have bought something more expensive. Well, that's a budgetary item that you control when you approve the budgets every year. So administration, has a fine balance of being fiscally responsible to the taxpayers, but also providing that level of service. So we ended up purchasing what we purchased. It works great at the arena for what it's there for. For whatever reason, the one installed at the Little Falls Community Center, granted, we've had a lot of problems with that, and we understand that we have. So our goal right now is to get it up and running as quickly as possible. If council wants to remove that and put something else, that certainly, if that's the direction, we will come with those costs at budget time, and it can be part of the discussion. Thank you.
Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Question for Jason. I'm looking here, and outside of the FedNor grant that we received, it looks like we have spent almost $8,000 in additional from our budget, just in those repairs, well, between the regular maintenance and repairs over and above what the net capital cost was. Could we request maybe that in time for budget planning, that various options be presented to us on what is available outside of simply fixing the existing, so that we can see what?
So I would want clear direction from council that you want to spend the money. There's no point, going and shopping around doing a bunch of quotes if council's not, if council's serious about ripping this out and buying something new. Sure, I mean, we can bring that forward. Is that I mean, that'll be your decision, but I don't want to do, I have limited staff and to do a bunch of work and research to find a better lift, because again, a lot of the, if you're going to go beyond this, well, then we get into elevating devices, and again, the costs are going to be pretty significant.
Certainly. Right?
So, I mean, if there's no appetite to actually spend that kind of money on that to get, customers up to a business, I don't know if that's a good idea, unless that's the direction of council. We'll stop what we're doing and we'll do the research, but it's going to be expensive. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Oh, certainly. I think we do, well, being a municipal building and all, we do have our AODA compliance that we have to maintain, and it's more just simply not necessarily diving in and doing the deep research at this time, but seeing what options are available, because this is costing a significant amount of money that we likely don't plan for with the repairs in itself.
With all due respect, this is not significant money. Yes, it appears to be. I understand that. But for the municipality, like you said, to be $30,000 in, it's not a huge cost. I think being down, the amount of time that's down is
absolutely
obviously the more serious issue here. I don't disagree with you, and I agree. The amount of money that we've put forward, is not in a budget as big as ours. It's not huge dollars. I think it's getting a reliable maintenance company that can be here on time, get this thing up and running. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. You know what I mean? Yep. So if we have to, even if we had to rebuild a bunch of the parts, probably quicker and a lot cheaper than ripping it out and starting over, because we're still going to have the same issues of, where and how and the logistics of it. Lifting the device is pretty much our only option unless we're doing major renovations on the building.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you there. I think it's just a matter of presenting to council what the options are so that we can, we're making informed decisions.
Yeah, we can include it in the budget process, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Knowles.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with Councillor Lyons. I don't want to just rip it out and then try and figure out what we're going to do next with it. We want this thing up and running. We have a business that we've signed a contract with, and them being open is dependent on us being able to provide this service, not just as far as the contract goes, but legally as well. So I think making sure that this thing is up and running, I'm not really concerned about the costs. Like you said, Jason, it's about making sure that this thing is up and running. I don't know what the end of life is on that particular lift, but I think as a council, we just need to know that so we understand that these are the costs moving forward, that so we can provision that. And if there is an end of life on it, then we can start making those decisions based on what we want to do next with it, whether that is, as you stated, repairing it or rebuilding it or replacing it with something completely different or taking it out entirely and moving it in a whole other direction. I don't know what the exact answer would be, but I think it behooves us to take a look and see what's available. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I know it's supposed to be able to carry up to 700 pounds. What I'm looking for is that you're going to have a company that's going to be able, Tyler's going to find a company that can be here within 2 days, whether they're coming from Winnipeg or Toronto or whatever, and going to be able to get it fixed. It's not going to take months to get fixed.
Correct, yeah, that's the intent.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's the intent, absolutely. Yeah.
And it just leads to the whole discussion that, do we run Little Falls restaurant? Maybe it's to the point where we don't want to be in the restaurant business and we make some other arrangements, as Councillor Martin said. Maybe we do something different. So if you're looking at, you know, doing things differently, sometimes you have to look at everything. Tyler, did you have something else? Yes, Councillor Stimson?
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I can remember years ago when I was on council before, Treasurer Coulson was saying that she did not think really that we should be in the business of running a curling rink or running a campground or running, is that not true from a few years ago?
You're probably referring to, we were talking about how sometimes municipalities have to take over businesses that they wouldn't, for example, Bunnell Park. Ideally, you would have a private business operating that. Our golf course, ideally, you would have a private business operating that.
Yeah. Same with the curling rink, a private business running everything.
But sometimes the municipality has to run those operations because there is no other option.
Have we ever tried
And we
another
need the
option?
service.
Yeah, well, the topic was stairlift, so I think we're going into the weeds here and 2.5 hours in. Anyway, so yeah, that was the report to council, and we will get stairlift repaired as soon as possible. We will look at another contractor to do the emergency work, and we will continue to have the people that we sign the deal with do their once-a-year regulatory inspection.
Yeah, and as requested, I'll get some high-level numbers just to see if there are other options out there, certainly. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Other business, Atikokan Housing and Homelessness Coalition, Bunnell, Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I recently attended a meeting for the Housing Homeless Coalition, but the Working Coalition, and they just brought up the concept of still being able to use Bunnell Park this summer for, if they needed it for the certain spots were designated to have it for that, and they just wanted to ensure, or do you need a letter to that matter? Do we have to bring it forward every year till they get something in place?
I speak to it. So if memory serves me correct, this coalition did come to council in, I believe, August of 2023. They had requested exactly what you had just mentioned. I believe at the time council called it a pilot project for the remainder of the 23 camping season, and then would make a further decision as needed. In 2024, there was no discussion regarding, I don't believe there's any discussion regarding Bunnell and that. So for 2025, there's absolutely no plans to convert any space at our municipal campground for setting up of tents and to have people like that. I guess if the coalition has a specific ask, or if council wants to direct administration to do that, but as far as administration goes, there's absolutely no plans to have that.
Okay, we have a meeting coming up, so I'll bring your information forward to them.
Councillor Stimson.
Just a suggestion. Have the Homeless Coalition ever thought of approaching the Native Friendship Center to use some of the area inside that black fenced-in area over by just on the other side of Mackenzie? I know the Native Friendship Center is involved in homelessness and stuff, And that would be a perfect place, you know,
They don't
if
have
you want to
showers.
put tents and stuff there.
They don't have showers? As-
Yeah, but that's, well,
I'll bring the information forward to it.
there's people in town that use the showers at the pool, pay $5 and use the pool shower. But that, I don't know. I don't know about Bunnell Park.
Can you use the mic, Graham?
Thank you. It was just to address the concept of using lands in other places in the community. Don't forget that we have zoning rules of what lands can be used for in this community, and it would be very specific to does that meet the requirement of that land, what was the former use of the land, and are the people safe on that land when they use it. So just to randomly pick a piece of land for people to camp out on, if it contravenes our bylaws, you would have to make amendments to your bylaws to accommodate that.
Still a good idea.
Yeah, just my feeling on this. The province is not in favor of homeless encampment, tent cities. I think it is actually demeaning to somebody that is underhoused that we give them a tent and go tell them to sleep in the bush. I don't think that's the correct answer. I think if there's a solution where people that need housing should be housed appropriately, and I don't think tent cities. I think tent cities are not something that we want to condone. I don't think we want something that we want to be a part of. If we're trying to rent campsites out to people with trailers and are making their home at Bunnell Park, I don't think we want to have a trailer park / tent city on our property. Again, I think the solution for underhoused people would be better than there should be something better than giving them a tent and tell them to sleep in the bush. So I'm not in favor of using Bunnell Park, and I'm not in favor of us putting town property and condoning tent cities. That's my feeling. Yes, Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. There is a project in process that I'm not going to speak in regards to about something other than tents. So it is something that this coalition is looking at, the working coalition.
Councillor Stimson?
I don't know, I'd be pretty leery if I was a camper up there, to send my son down for a shower. If there was a, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it would look. I don't think it would look good. And yet, they have to have some place to stay. You can't let them.
Well, we did. DSAP did an enumeration survey, and there was very little underhoused homeless people. So
yeah, I think it was only 20 or something like that.
Yes, Jason.
I think, too, from what I understand, there is representation on the coalition from the district's services board, and I would encourage this group to continue discussions with the social services. As Mayor Ferguson had mentioned before, we do rely on them as our kind of go-to for this situation. So, as opposed to the group coming to council and an ask, I think it would be more effective and beneficial if they continue to work with our district social services.
Which we are.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, next on the agenda, April 28th meetings. Clerk Bates.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. As everyone knows, the federal election is April 28th, so we were just wondering if council wants to move our meeting to the Wednesday, or if you guys still want to have the meeting on the Monday. And it's also Workers' Day of Mourning too, so I don't know if there's anything planned there. So I'm open to options.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. If it's a short meeting, like things don't get really rock until 8 and 9 o'clock at night, when Pierre will be nominated, and, so I say stay on the 28th, on the Monday.
Council,
From an administration point of view, my concern is twofold. One, that would be the meeting that KPMG would be providing their report, so that's going to be probably an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
My second concern is, as Clerk Bates mentioned, with it being federal election, as an employer, we have to make sure there's a certain period of time that our employees are allowed to leave and go vote. And my concern is if we do run long, that we're not going to be able to fulfill that. So that is a concern.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So have you got an alternate date that these people will come and do their presentation, or is it just the Wednesday?
So I'm thinking of switching them virtual, because I didn't necessarily want to pay for them to travel here for an hour and a half presentation. So we're going to be doing it virtual with them, and they are available 28, 29, or 30th. Yeah.
Okay. Tuesday, Wednesday's fine.
29th, make a decision, 29th.
We were shooting for 30th.
30? Let's go with 30.
Ideally, administration would like to recommend the 30th.
30th, done.
If we could, I would ask that if we could maybe start at 4 o'clock. We have, I think there's a meeting that we have to go to on the 30th for the Steep Rock Rehabilitation Committee, 6:30. If we could try to get Councillor Martin and I are on that, if we could try for 4 o'clock.
30th's not good for me. I got a CT scan at Thunder Bay. And I like to attend it, so I think we should try for another date, please. I appreciate it.
Okay, leave it with administration, and we'll pull everyone by email, and we'll lock down a date.
4 o'clock is fine for me.
Okay, thank you.
On what day?
Any day.
Okay, and that's come to the end of our meeting, so it's 6:16. I declare this meeting adjourned. 5-minute break. 5 minutes.
5 minutes.